God's delays are not his denials. याद रखिएगा, उसके घर देर है, अंधेर नहीं. Hi there, this is Gaurav Gupta, your life and business success strategist. Welcome to the Daily Snippets. There's this beautiful anecdote about a business owner who moved from a small town to a bigger city because his business was expanding. And since till that point in time, he didn't had much banking to do or didn't had much bank accounts, so he wanted to open a bank account. He went to a bank along with two of his assistants who carried some of his stuff with him. On reaching the bank, he asked the staff that I want to meet the bank manager. Looking at his appearance, which was not very impressive, very reluctantly the staff took him or guided him to the manager. The manager looked at him and said, "Sir, how may I help you?" He said, "I want to open a bank account." The manager very sheepishly said, "It takes a lot of money to open an account." So this business owner told his assistants to keep the bags which they were carrying on the manager's table. These were 2 sacks full of cash. The business owner asked the manager, "Would this much cash be sufficient?" The manager was about to almost fall from his chair. And he said, yes, sir, it is actually sufficient. I'll open an account for you. Definitely I'll open an account for you. So he gave an account opening form to the business owner. He said, "Sir, there's a formality. You have to fill this form." The business owner said, "I'm sorry, I cannot read and write. I would request you to fill this form and I'll sign wherever you want to." The manager was astonished. He said, "Sir, you cannot read and write and you've amassed so much wealth. How did this happen?" The business owner said, "Well, this is a long story, but if you've asked, I'll let you know." He said, "Many years ago, several years ago, in fact 20 years ago, I was in a village, and in the village, because I was not educated, the only job I could find was that of the person who rings the bell in the church. So I used to ring the bell in the church, and to my misfortune, there was a law passed in that province, in that district, that anybody who's working in the church has to be at least 10th pass or matriculation passed. Since I did not have the basic education, they fired me from the job. I was very mad at God because I am a firm believer in God, and having devoted my time in the church, I was never expecting such a thing to happen to me. But sometimes fate does happen, so I accepted it and I moved from my village to the town in search of some job. As I was going towards the town, I thought of having a cigarette or a smoke. But I looked around, there was no shop on the way. It was a long distance, long stretch from the village to town, but there was no shop selling cigarettes, or there was no shop at all. That gave me an idea. I borrowed a little bit of money from my friends and family and other people, and I started a small shop selling cigarettes and other stuff which travelers would require on the highway. Slowly but surely the business started picking up, and when I had enough savings, I started another shop a little further away from this shop. Gradually from 2 shops, I moved to 4 shops, to 8 shops, to 10 shops, to the point today, as I kept flowing with my business as it was growing, today I am amongst the leading players in tobacco in that town. The manager was astonished. He had goosebumps on his skin, and he said, "Sir, it's an amazing story, very inspiring. I'm just wondering, you're not educated and you amassed so much wealth. What would you have been doing had you been really educated?" You know what the man answered? He said, "Had I been educated, I would have just been ringing the bell in the church." A beautiful anecdote, and it highlights a very important point. Sometimes in life, God's denials are a way of pushing you towards your destiny. Let me share with you a real life story that highlights this point even further. Mohan's life was a series of unfortunate circumstances and events. At age 6, his father died. His family could not afford his education, so they pulled him out of his school. The only skill he could pick in life was that of a stenographer or a typist. He was deep in financial crisis, so one of his uncles referred him to a shoe manufacturing factory in Lahore for a supervisory position. But to his misfortune, the factory closed and he was forced to return to his village. On returning to his village, his family married him, which made the bad situation worse, so he was jobless, penniless, and had a wife to take care of. A ray of hope came in the form of a job opportunity as a junior clerk with a government department in Shimla. Mohan did not have money, so he borrowed 25 rupees from his mother and went to Shimla. But this investment proved futile because he could not clear the exam, and he was again in search of jobs. So he stayed over at Shimla looking for a few jobs and trying his luck at various places. One day, as he was passing by Hotel Cecil in Shimla, he went inside the hotel and inquired if there was a job. This was the first time Lady Luck actually smiled at him, and he got a job as a clerk in the hotel. After some time, there was a change in the management, and the new manager, Mr. Clark, wanted a cashier and a stenographer. Mohan grabbed this opportunity because he already had the stenography skills. So he grabbed this opportunity and he became a shadow to Mr. Clark. Since Mohan did not have any skills and his life was a series of misfortunate events, his hunger constantly kept growing and he learnt everything about the hotel business, from minute things to the larger complex affairs. He became almost a shadow with Mr. Clark, and like a sponge, he absorbed everything about the hotel industry. When Mr. Clark's contract ended with the Shimla Hotel, he went to the Delhi club. Mohan accompanied him to the Delhi club. Later, Mr. Clark came back to the Hotel Carlton in Shimla and he ran the affairs for 5 years. After a few years, when Mr. Clark wanted to retire from the hotel business, he offered Mohan if Mohan would like to invest in the hotel business and run the affairs. Mohan had no money or savings to invest. The only way he could invest was by selling his wife's jewelry. It was a tough decision, but Mohan did not stop. He was acting based on hope and faith, so he went ahead, sold his wife's jewelry, and with that money established himself into the hotel business. For an ordinary person, this could have been a good end in itself, coming from poverty and then running your own hotels. But Mohan was not an ordinary person. He did not stop there. His hunger for growth was so much that he went ahead and picked up different ventures. One of the most important projects that Mohan picked up was turning around the dilapidated Hotel Grand in Calcutta. During World War II, the British Army wanted a place to be stationed, so Mohan improvised 1500 beds for them and lent them these beds at 10 rupees per bed. Because of his services, the British government gave him a title of Rai Bahadur in 1941. Always on lookout for new challenges, Mohan never let any success hold him back in his comfort zone, and he kept on keeping on and kept on expanding his business further and further and further. He acquired the controlling stakes in Associate Hotels of India, which had hotels across India, and soon he added more and more hotels across various cities. But Mohan's dreams were bigger. He wanted to establish his own hotel chain, and he wanted India to be known globally as a country having the best international hotel experience. And as a result, in 1965, he became the first Indian hotelier to get into an agreement with an international chain and establish the first modern 5-star hotel in India. Just like the business owner in the anecdote we talked about earlier, had he been educated, he would have been ringing a bell in the church. Similarly, had Mohan continued as a supervisor in the Lahore factory, or had he got the job as a junior clerk in the government in Shimla, he wouldn't have been Rai Bahadur Mohan Singh Oberoi, the proud owner of Oberoi Group that employs, as of 2017, 13,000 people, operates 2 cruises, has hotels in 6 countries, and is a globally respected hotel chain. That, my dear friends, is the power of God's delays. So next time, if you're getting disheartened because a few things which you thought should happen have been delayed to you, always remember, God's delays are not his denials. Uske ghar der hai, andher nahi. Your job is to just keep flowing with the flow. Keep doing your best in whatever circumstances and situations you are in. Have a big vision. Keep taking consistent action. Do not lose hope. Stay positive. Persist. And soon you too will become larger than life. So I'll see you soon in my next video. Till then, stay blessed, keep rocking, and keep on dreaming. Thank you.